When you think about the complexity that is the cyber threat landscape, it can be really overwhelming for an individual or a small and medium-sized enterprise to figure out where do I start. I don't have 100 people protecting my network. I may only have 100 people in my company. There's a number of things people can do. One is, first of all, understand what you think your risks are. Try to think about where the weaknesses are in your infrastructure. Second, make sure that you're patched and up to date. We find that well over 80% of the threats that people face is the fact that they're running an unpatched system or something that's not updated. That's very easy to do. So set a regular cadence and make sure you're updated. The other part is making sure that you have strong authentication and passwords. Again, eliminates a huge amount of risk in that space. The other part is staying aware about what's happening in your environment. Pierre talked about some of the threats where people come in and take over your machine and hold it for ransom. Being aware that those things happen, understanding what your policy might be for when the bad day happens, how do you respond to or prevent those types of things. The other is really trying to understand detection. And we find today that many companies are infected for more than 245 days before they actually discover they've been compromised. And then some of it is actually thinking about novel approaches to cybersecurity. Some people are finding that they're actually more secure by using something like the cloud than they are in trying to manage their own network, because a company like Microsoft or other cloud providers can put lots of people on protecting something that you as an individual are never going to scale to protect. And it's a fundamental shift that's happening. It brings with it new risk management challenges, but those in many ways are easier for small and medium-sized businesses, so they can function on creating new IP and innovating and not about wondering what their firewall configurations are. So I think there's a lot that can happen in that space.
In parallel with this, there is one critical thing. If you want to make sure you've got decent security within your organization, no matter if it's a big organization or small or medium enterprise, the first one, as I usually say, I need to have someone who has difficulty to sleep at night because he or she knows she is in charge of the security of the organization. He or she knows she will be fired if there is a significant security incident. We need that person to understand that that's her problem and she needs to think about that continuously. So that's the first thing. The second one, I understand that we need to have simple answers, because if we were to come back with rocket science type of answer, people would get lost and nothing would be done. My team has worked very closely with the Australian government over the past 2 years, and the Australian government came up with a document called the Top 35. In fact, they came with a simpler document called the Top 4. This document shows the 4 items in priority order that needs to be put in place in order to significantly minimize the exposure of an organization against cybersecurity risks. And these are very simple things and very similar to what Paul has said. The beauty of that approach, it's in priority order. So instead of giving you a list of 200 things that you have to do and leave it to you to figure out which one should be done first and which one should be done second, the top 4 and the top 35 tells you this is the first one you have to do. Don't waste time doing the second item until you have finished the first one. And then you do the second one, and then the third one, and the fourth one. And very similar to what Paul said, these items are, well, patch your systems. Make sure you use the most up-to-date version of the software. Make sure you have a good control on your system administrators and have whitelisting. That is, make sure that you've got grip on which application are entitled to run on which computer. Just doing that will exponentially decrease the risk of your organization against the typical cybersecurity incident.